how much does the Arnold tool cost the county?
Without getting into numbers and generally, I think we can talk about it. I mean, and who's footing the bill? We could, yeah.
So the Arnold tool is being provided in terms of direct costs free of charge from the foundation. And so that's why they're selective in terms of who they choose. They're offering, and they're paying for their own technical assistance. We're receiving technical assistance here locally by a company called Luminosity. Dr. Marie Van Nostrand, who's a nationally known pretrial researcher, is providing our TA here locally. But there is no direct cost to use the tool. They're providing the training for us. Obviously, there are going to be indirect costs in terms of what we, in terms of staffing up, right? That's an indirect cost to being able to make sure we have enough people in place to utilize it too. But it is not a direct cost, if you will, from the foundation to. But they do have a vetting process. They're looking for certain things when they're looking for communities to adopt the tool, and so we vetted through that process prior to me getting here, and that was a key sell for me in terms of coming down here.
One of our viewers just sent in a tweet asking if the changes in pretrial services will have any impact on community supervision.
Community supervision in terms of the department, or in terms of the services that we provide to those in the community?
It's a great question. This is what the question says: will the changes in pretrial services impact on community supervision in any way?
So I will go back to this in terms of just, if you're talking about not the Department of Community Supervision, but how supervision is provided in the community, is that the new, again, what we talked about, the differential levels of supervision, the dosage of supervision is going to change in the new system. And so those individuals, again, that are higher risk are going to be required to have more frequent contact with pretrial services and with community supervision, the department. Those that are low risk, those that are in that lowest risk will not have. And so, yes, there'll be the dosage, the frequency, the conditions are going to change in the new system as we're rolling out what we call differential levels of supervision, which is based on risk.
Could this possibly lead to PR bonds on felonies?
Yeah. So
wow.
Yep. So all felons, again, for nonviolence, if they vet through the system, right, they'll be able to get a PR bond.
Yeah, I mean, I would think
as a low risk.
Well, for instance, on financial crime cases, or something where there's a nonviolent offense. I mean, I would assume that the real only thing you're looking at is whether or not the defendant would have a risk of flight at that point.
Community. Oh, well, for that type of offense.
Well, right. I mean, for instance, if it's a state securities fraud violation,
right,
or if it's some sort of engaging in organized criminal activity that deals with more of a fraud perpetrated on a company or something like that, where you're not talking about guns or assaults or anything like that, those are nonviolent offenses. And, as we've seen in the federal system, a lot of those cases do get PR bonds, and the ones that end up with very high monetary bonds are the ones where the judges determine, hey, these guys, they got a lot of funds, they got the ability to access planes and passports, and they might have the risk of flight, so we're going to make them put up some money. And so I would assume that there might be some wiggle room in those kind of cases for getting PR bonds to start.
The beauty of the Arnold tool for me as well, if I can get more into depth, is that it carves out a person's flight risk in terms of a number from 1 to 6. It carves out their potential new criminal activity from 1 to 6. Then it also gives what we call a violent flag, which is not a numerical number, but it is a flag based on the instant charge being a violent charge. And so with the violent charge, that enhances, if you will, the risk. And so and when we look at risk, whether it's felony or misdemeanor, if they're high risk, they're high risk. If they're low risk, they're low risk. So you're moving away from a strictly charge-based, which can be subjective, right? Your charge-based system, where you're going into a risk-based system, and some of those factors are taken into place. But in essence, a person with a felony could receive a PR bond because they're deemed a low-risk individual.